Hello everyone and welcome to my video. Follow me as I take a trip to New York City for the very first time. Yep, you heard that right. In celebration of Thanksgiving, I journeyed down to the Big Apple to watch the Macy's parade, a giant Thanksgiving Day parade in New York City. The way I got to New York was I took a coach bus. It was a long 4 to 5 hour bus ride from Quincy Center, Massachusetts, all the way down to Manhattan, New York. To pass the time, I mostly just ended up sleeping because we had to get up so early to even make the bus that I was just really tired. But after getting off the bus, my group and I explored the city for hours and hours. And we saw many sights that I wanted to record later. Unfortunately, I couldn't record like at that very moment because I had my stuff, my camera and gear in my suitcase and I didn't want to unpack it all until we got to the hotel. But after exploring New York, we finally started to head to the hotel by taking the subway from Manhattan up to Queens. The only Once we made it to the subway, and my goodness, the subway was like massive. There were routes everywhere, and it was a little hard to, navigate, but once we figured it out, it was smooth sailing to make it to our hotel. At least that's what it would have been until we came across a problem. The station we had to get off at was not handicap accessible. There were no elevators and there were no ramps. And the people in my group couldn't really do stairs, so we had to move to the next station. We had to take the train to the next station and get off there because it was handicap accessible. Then a 12-minute walk later, and we were at our hotel. It was called the Feather Factory up in Queens. And that kind of made me realize something. You see, the New York subway has a lot of reach throughout the city, but not all the stations are for everybody. And it kind of made me think about like the stations we have up in Boston. I kind of gained a new respect for the subway up in Boston and their handicap accessible stations. Come the next day, we have to get up at the crack of dawn again. I'm used to it at this point, to make our way down to the subway from Queens to Manhattan to find ourselves a spot to watch the parade. The train system's a little more complicated here than Boston, but other than that, it's actually pretty easy to follow. Everything's really numbered instead of labeled. Man, I've seen buildings this high, but not this many. Ooh, that one over there like has some interesting architecture. Now, the closer we got to the middle of Manhattan, the more we saw roads starting to close down and people beginning to grab spots, and everything got really crowded. Finally, we found a spot. It wasn't the best spot, but it was a good one. It was crowded, and due to the rain, people brought their umbrellas, so it made it a little more difficult to see, but with my height, I had no problems. Then the parade started to come through, and it was awesome. The parade was amazing, and the floats were so creative. We had Ninja Turtles, we had the Statue of Liberty, well, the torch, actually. We had so many, I can't even actually remember most of them, because the floats weren't catching my attention, it was the balloons. Balloons like Kung Fu Panda, we had like anime too, like One Piece, we had Dragon Ball. I even saw Ronald McDonald. Funny thing, I managed to get a picture of Ronald McDonald, the balloon, outside of McDonald's, and I got it all in the same picture. I thought it was pretty funny. The parade lasted for hours, but because of the rain, We were getting soaked and we were getting cold. So we started to make our way back to the hotel to dry off, relax, and prepare for tonight. With coats dry and gear charged, we went back out for our Thanksgiving dinner and to see what New York City looked like at night. And oh man, it was so bright.
Still pretty bright as daylight.
It's like, what, like almost 6? And it's still so bright here. It's like day already.
Looks like Broadway.
Oops, sorry.
I want to take a picture of Broadway.
There were billboards everywhere, and some showed movies like Aladdin, some were about theaters, some were about upcoming games. I even saw like the dog from Target. Speaking of Target, that place is abundant in New York the way that Dunkin' Donuts is in Massachusetts. I swear, there was like every corner had not only a hot dog stand, but a Target. I swear. After dinner, we made our way to Rockefeller to see the giant Christmas tree. On the way there, we passed through many interesting spots, one being this ice skating rink. Currently, it was empty because they were bringing out the Zamboni, but there were these lights that just shined on the ice and it was so colorful and pretty. But that was the end of our night, and come the next day. With that being said, near the end of my stay, I made my way back to the bus stop to go home. And here's something that's a little interesting. The location where the bus was supposed to pick me up was called the Field of Lights. And during the day, it didn't really look like much, but especially when I got there, but during the night, when I got back, it was so beautiful. It was purple and blue and, well, and the background of the city, it just made for such a good photo. I only wish I could take a walk, take a stroll through it. But even so, at night it was a glorious sight and a good spot to end my trip.